This is Mark Whitten.
This is Adam MacArthur.
This is Ann Yatko.
This is Molly Chung.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Yurchak.
This is Daquan Wilshire.
This is Lexi Nieto.
This is Rico Fajardo, and you're watching.
And you're listening to Spoiler Force Podcast. Set your heart ablaze.
All right, so this is episode 161 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky, and thank you for tuning in. This week's guest, I have returning guest Sharon Kim of the Sharon Stuff Podcast back on the show to review the movie Suzume by Makoto Shinkai. This episode should be around the time where I'm back from my break, so this is definitely a topic that I wanted to talk about for sure. But yeah, just Suzume was a movie that came out around April. So if you have not watched it yet, hopefully by the time this episode drops, it's still in theaters. If not, then you missed out on it. But I was blown away by this movie. Definitely because it's by Makoto Shinkai, but then I had higher expectations since Weathering with You. Not saying that movie was bad, but because I expected more from Weathering with You, and then I thought that Suzume definitely blew that away too. Just it topped it for sure. But for you, Sharon, I know you watched it already, but how many times have you watched Suzume?
I've only seen it once in the original Japanese with the subtitles, and it was so good. So good. It was so funny. At the time of this recording, the previous Saturday, I watched it with my best friend, and after the movie finished, I was half joking. So we're coming back tomorrow to watch the English dub, right? It was so good. I felt I'm when's the DVD coming out? I want to buy it. It was that good.
I was telling my roommates because we watched it on the opening Friday, and they were like, "So how long is this going to be in theaters before it gets hits streaming services and all that?" And I told them it's going to be a while because for Weathering with You, it took almost a year for it to finally be on DVD and then to be on streaming platforms. Usually anime movies are like that, especially big ones, which is weird, right? Because they do release in theaters, but it's not like if you would go watch Avengers or something, right? It's not a lot of show times. It's very limited dub times or limited sub times. You mentioned that you watched it in sub. I watched it in sub too. I didn't watch it in English dub, unfortunately. It just because here in Texas, I don't know if it's because of the show times, but the show times didn't match up for when I left work. So every time I got off work, I went to go watch it in sub. I would have liked to have watched it in dub just to see how the actors did, but overall, again, this movie was fantastic. What are your thoughts of it overall? Aside from it from being super good, overall, just how would you, I guess, compare this to his previous work? Would you say it was better, or was it all right?
I would say, even though I've only seen it once, it's out of the few Makoto Shinkai that I've seen, it's hands down my favorite. I've seen Weathering with You, I've seen Your Name, 5 centimeters per second, and Garden of Words. Those are all okay. But I don't know, there's just something about the way the story progressed and just the structure, and of course the voice acting, being a voice actor myself, I was just fangirling over every scene. Every time someone spoke, I was just oh my gosh, that was so good. Yeah, I think if I had to rank it, it would, top would be Suzume, and then would be Your Name, and then Weathering with You. I think it's been a while since I've seen Your Name and Weathering with You, so it's kind of hard to compare a little bit, but I just remember just liking them. But do you ever watch something you kind of feel the urge to just look at your phone or something like that? I kind of felt that with Weathering with You with a little bit. Not that I didn't like the story or the characters, but I'm just there were just moments where maybe it lulled a little too much at times, or it was a little too predictable at times. But I don't know. But Your Name had a frustrating but understandable end. Weathering with You had the ending I wanted, but I'm just it was a cute movie. I liked it. I would watch it again, if someone wanted to. But Suzume, I would I would go to the theater by myself to watch that movie.
That's what I did for my second viewing. I woke up early in the morning to go watch it in the theater, and it was like me and like two other dudes in the theater. We're just like, yeah, we know why we're here. So we all of our seats were like pretty far apart too. So it was pretty funny. But I gotta say though, I would have to disagree. I think that
Oh.
Your Name is still at the top, and that's only because I have a huge bias for Your Name, because that movie for me was like it was one of the movies where I had a cousin that told me like, go watch this, it's so good, you'll like it, Ricky. So you like all the fantasy stuff. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I had super low expectations of Your Name, so when I watched it for the first time, and it was bootleg too, I was completely like blown away by the storytelling
Mm.
and just how everything was. So for that, I think that's kind of why Your Name for me is still at the top, because like Suzume was great, don't get me wrong, I loved it, but it didn't blow me away in the fact of like it didn't give me that big wow factor like Your Name did. Your
Mm.
Name gave me that huge wow factor, and I honestly think it's because of that ending that was like, and then of course Radwimps, the music playing at the end when the screen goes up to the sky, like you can't top that. That was just so perfect. But onto Suzume though, I don't want to like bash on the movie because we're talking about Suzume, which is the main topic. But Suzume was phenomenal in the sense of like the fantasy aspect. Like, of course, Makoto Shinkai does well with like time and space and the romance and all that stuff. But I think this time around, with him using more folklore in this movie, like with like the keystones and like the real life events, like with the tsunami and all that stuff, I thought that, man, like he really, took time to not so much world build, but to give like a bigger explanation of the situation in the movie. It's not just like where, not like Your Name where the meteor just came, there's no
Uh,
explanation for it. That was just
oh
a
yeah, yeah.
phenomena. But then in Suzume, they tell you like there's the keystones, Suzume removes one and they have to go unlock the doors. So there was like a step-by-step process of how they had to, I guess, beat the worm or like save the world. So that's what I really enjoyed about Suzume. Was there anything else that you enjoyed about the movie, Karen?
Um, I don't know. You hit on a lot of good points. I like you're kind of talking about it like with the world building. I really appreciate, whether it's a movie or a TV show or whatever, when they do their research. You know that they really took time to like craft this world together based on like real things. Maybe it's not 100% true necessarily, but like they didn't just like arbitrarily like, oh, let's just put this aspect in here and this aspect in
Mhm.
here. Like there's actually like a reason, and it's like rooted in something, even if it's not 100% true. So like I like the effort they put into that kind of thing.
Throughout this whole movie, it's really just Suzume and Sota. Of course, I was not predicting seeing him being the chair the whole movie. I thought that the chair was gonna be like another character. I was really caught off guard by that, by him being the chair, and I know that I guess some reviews were saying like they didn't like that part. What was your thoughts on that, seeing Sota being the chair the whole time?
Um, my first thought was, I'm surprised it happened so soon. Like I think I knew he was going to be the chair. But I just like was so expecting it a little later. Yeah, I was expecting more human Sota,
Yeah,
not just like at the ends, like beginning and end. But I don't have too much of an issue with it. I thought it was funny, like him moving around and like trying to figure out like how to like move like efficiently. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting used to this now.
yeah,
Let's go." And you know when he's getting used to it, when you see those like anime jumps, like when they go like a football field or like
yeah.
away. But yeah, I think it would be nice to see him more human, but at the same time, it doesn't really bother me how it turned out. But
I mean, I thought it was comical seeing him being the chair too. Just like throughout the movie, you see Suzume holding him, or like the first time, like when they get off the ferry, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go and chase the Daijin. I'm gonna go chase the cat," and she just picks him up right away. Like he can't run from her. But like you said, they did really well though with the animation, especially with his running scene. The part where like he chases Daijin in the street in Tokyo, and like just how the camera angles are moving and following
mhm.
them, like that was fantastic animation right there. And I think that's what really like made me like this movie a lot more too, is because the animation was just so good. And just from everything from like the simple things to like seeing the key turn, or
Oh yeah.
even like all the sound effects, like them locking the doors, or like just closing doors, or just them, any sort of just regular movement in this movie was done so well. I guess since we're like talking about the characters already, so I know that with Suzume and Sota being the main characters, were there any other main characters that you liked before we talk about those two main?
I actually really liked Serizawa, I think his name is.
Oh
The guy with the convertible.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, like I really like, it's such like a simple scene, but like when he like finds Suzume after like the first major part of the movie like concludes, and like her aunt's there too. They're like climbing over into the convertible. It's like, dude, the car has doors. Like use the door. And then like just every time like something goes wrong, like the overhead thing doesn't go in all the way, so the front two people are getting like still drenched.
Oh, yeah,
Or or like they fall down like the ditch thing. Is like, oh, the overhead works, but then his car door falls off.
yeah.
Like,
That
and
was great.
he's like trying to cater like the radio or whatever music to like the vibe. Is like, I'm trying to cater it to you guys. Like, I loved him.
Did you look at the credits? I looked at the credits, and he's actually voiced by the actor who does Taki in Your Name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was surprised. Because I had to look up their voices, because I didn't know if these were like new actors or if they were already like established actors. From what I've seen, I think they are not so much new, but they're more newer actors. They're not like the typical actors that we hear from like the big animes, right? So, but I did look at the credits for Serizawa. He's voiced by Taki, which I thought that was a really nice little
Like,
I guess
callback.
For Your Name. Yeah, just, and then going back and watch it the second time, then you can really hear like Taki's voice. So I thought it was great. But yeah, his character was great too. He was pretty, he was a good comedic relief. I honestly thought that he was gonna play like a bigger part, like maybe like he was the keystone or something, but that never really like happened. So I thought that was hilarious. And just you brought up the music. I actually like went on YouTube and found they have his playlist, like all the songs that's on his iPod or whatever. And I have his playlist on my YouTube, like saved on my YouTube channel. So I've actually been listening to this playlist for like, the past couple of days now. The music's like so good though. It's like really like oldies Japanese music. Like it's very like ballroom-esque, or like it's just very like classic music. So it was really good. I guess another character I like too was I guess you can say the was Daijin, that the cat.
Oh.
It was like a love hate though, because Daijin,
yes.
because Daijin was like cute, but then so irritating at the same time, because he was causing so much of the drama too, which that's what I didn't like. But at the he redeems himself at the end. But it's just like, how can they make you like how can they make this cute little character be so hateable at the same time? It's just a troublemaker, So I was like love hate, but then I enjoyed his the character that was shown in the movie.
Yeah, I was like, oh, cats. Like, I'm more of a cat person, so I was like, oh, such a cute cat. But then cats do, as they're known for, being a menace to society. Oh my goodness. But like, yeah, you're right. He does redeem himself. Like, it is revealed that he was actually leading them to all like the doors, and that really sad, final sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Heartstrings, man. Heartstrings. Stop pulling them.
That's what Makoto Shinkai did so well too, was just the emotional aspect that all these characters go through, especially Suzume. Like Suzume goes through. We're kind of like, as an audience, we're kind of like wondering what is her past like, or what's like, what is the big moment for her when we see what the reveal is, when it comes down to like who she is as a person. And that part where when she's in the ever after, and she like sees her younger self, that part hit me pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, I teared up a little bit. I didn't cry, but I teared up. I thought I related to that a lot. Going through like a personal loss as well, just like in my family, just knowing what that's like, and then seeing how she had to comfort herself in that ever after. And I thought that was such a good twist because I think they set it up to where like they think they make you think that she sees her mom in
Mm-hmm.
the ever after, and then that
Yep.
was a nice twist.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh wait, you see your mom already? It's like, oh wait, no. No, it's not. Oh but yeah, oh my goodness. Like just Suzume and like yeah, the other scene that really got me was like when they're like she's like yelling at her aunt. Like all like like the dark side of everyone's like thoughts like come out because of
Oh yeah, like at the gas station or something.
yeah, at the gas station rest stop area. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Are they actually saying this? Are these their thoughts? It's like, yes, they are their thoughts, but it's kind of like that black cat, the Daijin or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it's called, like kind of like brought it out. It's like, whoa, like this got like really dark. Like, how much
Yeah.
of that do you mean? Like, oh shoot.
Yeah, but that was really like realistic, or not realistic, but really relatable too. Because I know that especially when you have like, I guess like distraught amongst like family members, like you do say things that that you don't mean, or like because you're just frustrated. So seeing that was like very realistic, just to see them argue, because you see like the aunt, she's super protective. She's always trying to make sure Suzume is safe, and then like you learn that like why she's so protective is because when she found Suzume in the cold like that,
Oh
and
yeah.
then like you kind of see there's a lot of, I guess you could say there's a lot of regrets as well, because she took in Suzume and she couldn't like live out her youth. Like she's like in her 40s now, taking care of a high school student still, and she can't like go on dates, or she can't get married and stuff like that. And so all that frustration kind of built up, and Suzume is giving her a hard time too. And then, you know, that part with the other keystone like possessing her, I got that I was not expecting that. I thought that was gonna be, I thought that she actually like meant that.
Oh yeah, like reach the boiling point. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you learn that it's because of the keystone that like kind of possessed her to say that. And then and then right after, instantly she regrets saying that. That's why I thought that was really sad too, just like how she was crying in the gas station, and then like Serizawa was like, wait, I don't know what to do.
He keeps ending up in these like situations that can get easily misunderstood.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just to kind of bring it back, like when they were arguing outside of Tokyo, like they're going to his car. Did you see the comments of the people were making? They're like, oh my gosh, he has drama. Like, is he two timing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And like how her aunt like, are you the guy? He's like, stay away from her. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't help that he kind of like stereotypically looks like
Yeah.
like,
He's like, he just gets caught up in the middle of everything. He's like, I didn't do anything, like just like
I literally showed up. Oh my
um
goodness.
to continue on though, like I guess with Sota's character, was there anything that you liked about his character in the movie?
Um, I don't like I really did like his character. I like how like I like his I guess it kind of relates to Suzume too, just like kind of just like this one thing, how like the progression of like their relationship and like their teamwork. Like you see it with like every time they have to fight the worm and close the doors, like how in the beginning he's like no, I'll take care of it. He's like, solo guy. Like I don't really need your help. Like he tries to dismiss her. He's like, no, go back home, right? But then like every time they encounter the worm and like he accepts her like little and like to the point where he's like, go, you do this, I do that. Like we'll take care of it to like together. Like just like that kind of acceptance of like each other. Like I just like it does relate to both of them. So I just like the like growth aspect of like how you don't have to do it alone kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that his character, like he learned to not be so solo, like you said. He kind of gave me like, I guess, Haku-esque vibes from Spirited Away. I guess maybe it's his aesthetic, but he kind of gave me those kind of vibes where like he's not too overly macho, but he's like a very like very straightforward character, very direct. Like he knows what he has to do. He's just gonna go and do it. And so like you kind of get that from right from the beginning. Like he does it without like telling what Suzume what's going on, and he even tells her like, or do you have like a death wish? Like, are you trying to die? Like, what are you doing? And he's very dedicated to his craft, and that's what I liked about his character. And when you see like how when he gets transformed, he has to rely on Suzume. Like he can't do it by himself. And
Mhm.
then, like you said, he has to learn to let her help him during that. Because I do like the part where they're at the school and he's trying to close the door, but he's like, "Oh crap, I don't have the arms to close the key." Like he's just struggling there.
Yeah, I just love their dynamic in general. I like how when they're in his apartment, she steps on him first to get the book, and then she's like, "Oh wait, can I step on you?" He's like, "You should have asked
Yeah.
that first." Like, what? There's an order to things. But it's in like the reverse as well, like how she was taking care of the kids of that one lady, and he's like, "Oh, like I guess
Oh,
like
I
I
love
guess I
those.
have to step in too."
Actually, I really love that scene. Those two little kids were so cute, just like being, very being kids. They're just being children, like very naughty and stuff like that. And they were like stacking the McDonald's stuff on top of him, and he would shake it off, or like when they thought he was an AI, they're like, "Hey, how's the weather? What's the stocks like?" And they would ask him all these questions and stuff. I thought that was very cute too. And then just like or when they were sit on him, he'd move around, and then Suzume was like, "Let me sit on you." He was like, "No." Yeah. So like just very very little things like that, that's what I liked about like the relationship between Suzume and Sota. Like it didn't seem so forced.
Mhm.
There is a bit of a romantic uh aspect of it in this movie, but like they don't force that upon you, like
Yeah, it's
where
very yeah.
they're like, "Oh my gosh, like we're in love," like that
Mhm.
there's mutual feelings there.
Yeah, I definitely like how like it's tastefully done. It's like the romance is like an accent, but it's not the main part of the story. So
Yeah.
like when it's like tastefully done like that, it's just like it's so much more effective sometimes than just like straight out romance that they're like they actually become a couple, etc. Whatnot. Like it's kind of implied ish, but like it's like that's not the point of the movie.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, right? To see like how their relationship does build up. It's not immediate. They don't just like fall in love immediately within like that week's time span of hanging out together. Their friendship builds up, and then they learn about each other, and then up until where uh the big reveal when you find out that Sota becomes the Keystone. That's where I really like where you kind of see Suzume's character change. Like her
Mhm.
determination is like kicked on, where she knows she wants to save Sota. And watching that part too, like how she closed the gate in Tokyo, and like Daijin was like, "You can be with me now. Don't you want to be your cat? I'll be with you." And she's like, "I hate you. I don't want you, go away." And then he kind of like turns back to being frail again. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Like yeah. With Suzume, she really starts to learn that all her happiness and love is not just in one person. I guess we're kind of
Yeah.
touching on themes in a little bit here, but to me it seemed like her entire world was her mom, and then suddenly her mom disappeared. Her aunt said, she was so young, she was having a hard time grasping that her mom's just suddenly gone and not coming back, and how she talks about as well how she kind of always knew, but just couldn't really accept it, and not that she had problems with relationship with other people necessarily. She still had friends in school. She was still on good terms with her aunt and stuff, but there seemed to be something missing that she doesn't grasp until Sota starts coming into her life, and they go on their adventures and whatnot. So that was really nice to see.
Suzume's character was a little bit more complex than Sota. Of course, because she's the main character, we don't know like her backstory until the movie starts touching up on it more. And I really liked how they kind of like tease it throughout the whole movie. Like you don't know what's excuse me, you don't know like what her issues are up until like where you hear like the aunt talk about it, or especially towards the end, and just like how she went through the ever after, and then like just going through losing her mom, and then like that's when you realize like her world, like you said, her world ended when her mom died. So throughout the movie, when you see her make these like friendships or bonds with you know, with the girl that sold the tangerines, or the mother of the 2 kids, or who else? Sarazawa, and everyone throughout the movie. Like, you kind of see like she opens up more. She's learning more about who she is as a person, and she's also not so excuse me, she's not so I guess not so reserved. She's more open, which I really like too. I thought that was great, how they displayed that in the whole movie. And then from the ending, they kind of like go backwards, right? And so you see like in the end credits, like how there's like I guess slides or pictures of her and her aunt like meeting everyone she's met throughout her whole journey in the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. That like she was making these like new deep relationships that she wasn't really giving too much thought about. Like
Yeah,
it I feel like they were, at least to a certain degree, they were kind of like a means, because she definitely needed help to like get wherever she needed to go. But like also she wasn't like just purely using them either. But then they really do generally become relationships, and you see that, and you especially see that, yeah, during the ending credits, when they come back and they visit each one of them, and like they weren't just like stepping stones, they were genuine relationships that she now really cherishes. Like like she sees things like differently now, so it's really, really awesome to see.
yeah. And I mean, like you said, it's not so much where they're using each other, but they all like they helped her because she helped them in that sense. Like,
Mhm.
I thought it was funny when she meets a girl that's with the tangerines. How she looks at her like, "How'd you do that? How'd you get the net and like get all the all the fruit?" She's like, "Oh, I just moved on my own." Kind of
You know,
like
just good timing.
yeah, like my hero. You're like, I moved on my own and I did it. But it's just it's funny when you kind of like see how her and Sota in the chair form are like in these relationships too, like we said with the mother and the kids, and then like just seeing how she explains how she got the chair, and I thought that was really interesting too, just to see like how her mom handcrafted that chair,
Mhm.
and I love that part too in the movie, especially the animation, like how she like how it's all black and white, and then when she paints the chair, you see the color of yellow, and then
Yeah.
when the chair is done, then the whole screen gets color in it. I thought that was freaking beautiful.
Oh yeah, I love the chair so much, and it kind of like touches on like what she's kind of like struggling with, because like she has this chair, but then like she also like admits that like she wasn't really taking care of it that well. Like it like ended up losing a leg at some point that we don't really see in movie. It's kind of like she couldn't really like properly move on, so it's kind of like it kind of, I feel like it kind of represents like how like she was like, 'cause it's kind of like there, and she's kind of like stuck and like in the same like position. Like she didn't like try to like give the chair a new leg or like repaint it or whatever. It's kind of like un like she didn't like address it properly. Like so like I love the chair so much. It's adorable, but also has a lot of meaning to it.
That is great. I didn't think of it too deeply like that
Oh,
initially. No, it's great though. It kind of like opens up like perspectives on it, because of course, like one of the big themes in this movie, which I thought was like how she handled her grief. I
mhm.
think that's something that a lot of viewers should be able to see. That's something that for sure not to be looked over on in this movie, because the I guess I didn't look at it to where you said like how she held on to the chair the whole time. Like it's the last thing that her mom gave her, and then kind of just like how you said it, just she didn't, I guess, take care of it over time. And so I guess I don't want to get like too like philosophical or anything, or like too like deep
Yeah.
dived into this, but just her holding on to that chair, and like kind of her not being able to move on from her mom's death, and even towards the end, like she even like after she sees her younger self, there's like that inner monologue where she's like, I already knew what happened, and it was more so like her trying to accept that her mom was dead, versus like when she was little saying like, where is she? I thought that was sad too. She's like, my mom's a good, she can cook food, she makes things out of wood, and like she was looking for her mom. I thought that was so sad,
Well,
and it's just so heartbreaking to see that like little Suzume crying and trying to find her mom, and that part hit me pretty hard too, just like watching that. And kudos to the actor who did it. She was really good.
oh yeah, everyone was phenomenal. Oh my gosh.
uh was there, I guess, was there parts in this movie at all that you wish could have been different, or something that you maybe like disliked in this movie?
It was really hard to find something I even remotely disliked. I was like splitting hairs trying to like figure out. I'm also trying to think about it after only having seen the movie once. Um Honestly, the only thing I can kind of think about is like overall I love the animation, don't get me wrong, but like I think sometimes when like the worm came into play, like especially when it started getting all like swirly and whatnot, I'm just like it kind of seems a little off compared to like the style of everything else. But like that again, that's like splitting hairs.
Yeah,
Like,
it definitely had more of like the CGI touch to it for
yeah.
sure.
Like it was well done, but at the same time it's like, oh, this kind of feels a little off. But that's like again, that's like one of the only things. Okay, okay, there is another splitting hair thing. So like the worm being called the worm. I'm sorry, but like, couldn't you like come up with like a better name? Like this is gonna sound so silly, but like, did you think of SpongeBob when you heard the worm?
Oh my god, the Alaskan bullworm. I did not think of that, but now that you brought that up, that's oh my god, that movie's ruined now. It was the Alaskan bullworm. Like, seeing SpongeBob and Sandy like trying to chase it. Oh my god.
I'm sorry. Like, wait, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
Oh my god, Sharon, you ruined the movie for me. That's all I see now. It's just the Alaskan bullworm. Oh man, and like especially when they're sitting on top. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean I wish they gave it some sort of like deity name or like some sort of like legend, like some mythical name, like instead of just calling it the worm. But I mean it's kind of it does kind of like, I don't know if you know much about like Norse mythology. It's kind of like that a little bit. It's I forgot what the actual creature is, but in Norse mythology there's something like in what makes the ocean moves is like this big sea creature that kind of like just moves all the time. That's what it kind of made me like think of, because even in the movie Sota's like, this is what causes all the calamities in Japan, and if we don't seal this, then that's when calamities happen, which I thought that was neat too. Like it kind of explains all the natural disasters, in Japan. Kind of like that's a nice little touch there, to explain like this is why like we have to protect our islands, because if we don't, then there's earthquakes, there's tsunamis, and it's all caused by this worm that we have to make sure that it's locked.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice touch for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like that one scene in the Tokyo scene where like before Suzume locked it with Sota being the chair, like how the worm was like dispersing in the sky, and it kind of had like this huge round flat kind of look like shape. It kind of looked like a UFO ship in a sense, and that's what I was thinking about when I saw that. It's like, yeah, it looks like a UFO, and just it was funny seeing how no one can see it but Suzume and Sota and his grandfather and the cats, of course, the
Yeah.
Keystones. But like the scene where she just flies off into the sky, like they don't really touch up on that either. The people are just standing there like, whoa, she just like
Whoa.
flew up, So
Yeah,
that was
it's like,
weird.
take out your phones, just like
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone in the movie, when they saw Sota and Daijin running around, they just used Twitter and Instagram like to showcase where they were at or where the cat was. I thought that was hilarious too.
Oh yeah.
But I guess if I'm nitpicking, I guess I wish that they touched up more on Suzume's mom. Like me and my roommate, we were talking about this too. Like we were thinking that maybe the mom had something to do with Suzume being able to see the ever after. Like maybe she was part of the Keystones, or maybe she was in on like this. I guess not in on it, but she was a part of this fantasy magic side of the things in this movie. But they didn't really they just pretty much say like she died in the tsunami. And then I thought that, like I said earlier in this podcast, I thought Serizawa was gonna play a big part. Like he was, maybe like, oh yeah, I'm another closer too, like something like that. But he was just really just a good friend at the whole movie. So, but that's if I'm like just splitting hairs and like just trying to nitpick, then yeah, that's what I would have thought. But overall, I really just thought that it was good. And like I said before, I just really like this fantasy aspect. I thought that's what really carried this movie, and I'm glad that they focused on that more. Like I said, with the fantasy aspect versus the romance of it. because
Mhm.
I think watching Your Name or like Weathering with You, the romance part of it kind of carried those movies
Oh,
versus the
yeah,
other way
true.
around, versus like the magic or like the fantasy aspect of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's definitely a good balance for sure, and it doesn't always necessarily mean like 50-50. Like something might be like 80-20, and that's like a good balance. And that's how I definitely agree. Like there's nothing wrong with movies being like romance driven, but like uh but it was just so well done with Suzume in terms of those two. Not that it made Your Name and Weathering with You terrible. They're definitely enjoyable movies for sure. But yeah, I definitely agree that romance was definitely a heavier part of those
Yeah.
versus Suzume.
If you want to start your own podcast like Spoiler Force, then sign up with Buzzsprout. Buzzsprout has helped hundreds of thousands of users like me to begin their podcasting journey. With easy-to-use tools, you can effectively get your podcast onto different platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. You can view your stats, create audio clips, and even have your own podcasting website. Buzzsprout offers ideas, tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you improve your podcast. Follow the link below, and once you sign up, you'll get a $20 Amazon gift card. This will let Buzzsprout know that I sent you and will also support Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want a simpler way to record both video and audio for your podcast, then sign up with StreamYard. StreamYard is the perfect program to create podcasts, host live streams, and even do video calls. There are many tools that can help you create and design your own personal studio. You can screen share, read live comments, and stream to different destinations like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also download your video and audio once you're done with your recording session. Follow the link below, and once you sign up with the basic or pro plan, you'll earn a $10 credit to use for StreamYard. Happy podcasting. Were you expecting to see any like cameos from Your Name or Weathering with You? Because I know with Weathering with You, there was the cameo of Taki and
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Mitsuha in there. So like me and my roommates were watching Suzume, and he was like, "Were you looking for the two characters from Weathering with You the whole time?" I was like, "Yeah," because I thought that they were, because I guess in the grand scheme of things, it seems like a lot of Makoto Shinkai's projects are somewhat connected, right? Because Your Name and Weathering with You is in a way connected. So we were thinking that, okay, so maybe the tsunami that hit Tokyo was what the character in Weathering with You did when he saved the Sunshine Girl. And so we were thinking like
Oh.
maybe that was the case, like maybe because he chose her over saving the city, like
Mhm.
that caused the flood, and that's what caused Suzume to lose her mom. But we didn't see any cameos, or we didn't see nothing that was in a way related. I think the closest thing we saw was probably just like how Suzume had that red rope, or that that red lining on her outfit, kind of looked like what
Ah.
Mitsuha had in Your Name. But other than that, we were kind of in a way disappointed because we were hoping to see cameos in this movie.
I didn't really expect to see cameos. To be honest, I'm not really heartbroken over it. It's like kind of like how Marvel was it like Stan Lee,
Yeah.
like he shows up in like every movie with like
Yeah.
one-liners or something. But like, yeah, it would be cool to see, but I I wasn't really expecting it, and I enjoyed it like just as well. And if they were in it, cool. If not, no, it's fine. Like,
Yeah, I just thought it would have been like a nice nod to the previous movie, since it's like, it's like one after another. But I'm kind of glad like it's not like that too, where that way you're not so focused on like, are they in
yeah,
this movie versus just enjoying the actual movie itself.
yeah.
um, I guess with Suzume, of course, Radwimps were part of the music side of all these things. Like, what was your thoughts on the music?
Oh my gosh, the soundtrack was so good. Uh, I am obsessed with the main theme. I've heard like at least 4 different like covers on YouTube. Oh, my favorite so far is by Jung Sunga. He's a finger stylist on the guitar. So good. I've actually in preparation of this podcast, I actually listened to the entire soundtrack on YouTube. And yeah, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like it's so good. Like I am not super critical, like if you can't tell already. I'm just like, yeah, it's amazing. It's great. I love that. You should go watch it and listen to it.
I'm trying like not to be like that, because I know deep down I am like that. Like I know, like, just go watch it. It's so freaking good. Like, like that's all I can say. There's nothing bad I can say. But I guess hearing the music and just the OST, it is very well done. I mean, I had a cosplay guest that was on my show, Kaya Rogoyski. She actually saw Suzume, and then she went to see Radwimps live in concert. I don't know if it was the same day or like the same weekend, but she sent me like a small clip of it, and I was just so jealous. I was so salty. I'm like you're so lucky you got to see Rad Wimps live, because like I know that their tour in the U.S. was like very limited. I think they were only hitting like the big cities like New York, L.A. or some maybe one other city, but yeah, I was pretty jealous that she saw them. So, yeah, but just the overall music in this movie, man. Like I think with the main theme being really good too, but I really liked I guess the other interpretation of the theme where Suzume, like um when she decides to go save Sota, like so after she like closes the Tokyo gate and goes back to his apartment, when that soundtrack kicks in, and it's kind of like there's this determination for her like to go and save Sota. Like I thought that was so like well done. Just like it matched like just that part of the music matched that scene so well. Just to see her like prep for what she was going to do. So she had to like change her clothes. She washed her feet. She wore his combat boots because she knew that she was going to be walking a lot. Just like small little intricate details like that. And I thought that was great just to see how the music also like uplifts certain moments of the movie, and even like the comical parts. Like there's like the whimsical part of the music where they're on the train, or when she's I guess on the bullet train and she misses like Mount Fuji. She's like, oh, why did you wake me up? I wanted to see it.
He's like,
So, like,
sorry.
yeah. So like a lot of little things like that. That the music for sure definitely helped make this movie experience like more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, for sure. I thought like every scene like had like music fitting to it, like not just like the big scenes, like you said, like the preparation or like the main theme, but or like when they're both fighting the worm, like and it's like like I don't know, like where it usually resides, not going through the doors, like when they're like like put the keystone in, but like all those little moments as well, and just like music really does help, like with the movie with conveying the message and like the feelings and stuff. Like if you try to watch a movie and like you take out the soundtrack, it's so different. Like it won't
Yeah.
it won't hit the same.
Yeah.
So like just like well crafted, well thought out like music and like using it at the right time, like in the right way with the right effects, that kind of thing. It's just like yes, they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it.
Oh, I wanted to bring this up too. Since you brought like them closing the doors, like there was I guess one thing I really thought that was cool too was the like I said before with the fantasy aspect and the folklore, just to see like how Sota would use the chant that he does.
Oh
Kind of like
yeah.
he's kind of like a prayer, I guess you could say, like that's like a closest thing to a prayer, where he's like all the sun and the ground and the grass and all the people, like they do this chant, and then like I returned into you, and they lock the door. I thought that was really cool. Like I don't know, it gave me like those really old school Japanese like anime vibes, like just to kind of see that there's like some sort of, I guess in a way, Buddhist uh influence there. I thought that was really neat just to see like how they still incorporate like a lot of old style or like old like traditional things in this movie, even though like how modern it is, they're still able to touch back on like their roots, and that's why, like I said, I can't say it enough, like the fantasy aspect of this movie was just so well done. But I guess the only thing I could complain about really is I wish they touched up more on the lore, aside from like the worm. I thought that maybe they could have touched up more on Daijin and Sadaijin, like just instead of them just being the keystone, like maybe touched up on
Oh
like
yeah.
how they became the keystones. I know that, I guess in the movie they touch up on like where they're selected, but like even in the movie, Sota's like, the gods are just gonna do what they want to do, and I kind of wish they touched up on like why Daijin was just so what's the word, like how
Like
he didn't.
whimsical.
Yeah, like, or not that, but like how he didn't want to be the keystone, because once he got removed, like, and then it kind of just, I wish they made it a better reason than just him like, well, you said you wanted to be with me, Suzume, like,
Ah.
yeah. And so like that, I wish they kind of made it to where Daijin was like, oh, I just, there's other things that I need to do, or being, I wish they kind of just made him flat out say like, being a keystone sucks. Like, I don't want to do this, because like even when Sadaijin confronts him, they have like a little tussle at first, and then like he gets pinned down, so it's just, I guess it's kind of like seeing like a childish god, like knowing that that's their duty, but they refuse to do it. But like I said, I wish they touched upon that more versus like just giving that reveal that when he told Sota like, oh, I switched it with you, like you're the Keystone now, not me.
Wow, like you didn't even ask, like he didn't want this.
Yeah, like he
just
just does it.
Oh my god. Like when you're like talking about like, oh, like I wish I had like a reason or like oh, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore. You just gave me the thought of like Zhongli, like how after like so many years he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
Oh yeah, like again, yeah. He's like, I don't want to be a god no more. Like,
it's like I don't want to be Dark Cut anymore. Like
yeah.
I'm just gonna fake my death. Like,
I mean, like
oh
at least that was still like an explanation on like in Genshin, like where
Yeah.
Zhongli is just like, I'm tired of everyone. Just let me live let me live a life alone type of deal. Like I don't want to deal with people.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I agree. But also with the like lore and stuff, like I guess like with the closers, like I think with the movie, like obviously there's more than just Sota and his grandfather, but it kind of felt like it was just them, like only two closers in all of Japan. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
surely there's more than just them, right? Or like, how do you become a closer? Is like the skill like hereditary, or like can you like do you train for it? It would have been nice to come come to know like more about being closer besides being like, oh yeah, I'm a closer. I close doors quite literally, like, but
I wish I was an explanation too. Like maybe he could have been like, there's other tribes out there, but this is like my area that I have to control type of deal. Like I think
yeah.
that would have been a much better explanation on his abilities, and like maybe like why his grandfather, just him and his grandfather versus like him telling Suzume like, oh yeah, this is a traditional thing and it's in the book and that's it. There's no more than that. Just a very general like covered basis of like, this is our job, this is our duty. It's been passed on, and that's it. Like there's no further explanation on this job. Was there anything else in this movie that I guess you wanted to I guess talk about?
I think we hit a lot of like the main things, like the comparisons, like the themes, like animation, music. I think like just small things like yeah. Oh, actually, one of my like favorite scenes actually when the worm is like all around like Tokyo being big. Like I love like the flash of like everything's completely normal. You get like the land, like the cityscape, and then like suddenly you just like see it. It's like what the like there's actually
Oh
like
yeah.
something there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
I like that how they, I guess the animation sequence of the worm, like before it slams down to the ground, like how all those yellow strings or the yellow waves of light like connect with it, and then like that's how they uh Sota and Suzume knew like that's what they had to do. Like, oh, this is like the big moment. We have to close the door before it falls down.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Just a little like animation moments like that, like everything just like tying together. It's great. Oh my gosh. Oh, like another this is I know I think of like the silliest things. Like in the beginning when Suzume like finds the first door, starts walking in the water with her shoes and socks on. Did that remind you of a certain Genshin character?
What did it remind you of?
It reminded me of Ayaka.
Oh, her like walking on water or something?
Oh
Or like,
yeah. I don't know. I think of like the silliest things. Like I'm sorry.
I didn't think of that. I mean, I liked how, I guess just how they animated that. Like it's, how she like had to throw her other shoe away since she lost one shoe,
Oh
and then
yeah.
she had to like walk barefoot everywhere, and just like how even like just little things like that, just like seeing how when when she came back from closing the Tokyo gate, how people were like whispering like, oh my gosh, look at her, like look at her clothes, she's not wearing any shoes, like they
Oh
were like just whispering about her and right in front of her, and she kind of just stood there and like
yeah,
heard
just
that.
take it in.
Yeah.
Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you're probably like mentally, physically exhausted. Like, you don't have like the energy to just deal with people's comments.
I guess one thing I thought that was pretty good too is just seeing the aunt story, like how the scene where she's trying to figure out where Suzume is at, and her coworker was like, "Oh, we were gonna
Oh,
ask you to go with us because we got the table reserved," and she can hear them talking about it, and she calls them out for it. And then like even
oh man.
when he's taking her home, he's like, you could look at her bank statements to see where she's at. And so they open up her bank statements and you see like where she was at, like with the McDonald's and transactions and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny too. Oh, speaking of that, just to see how Sota's character, how he's a college teacher, and she calls him out like, "You're a college man," like you have to pay me back because I'm using my savings for this
It's
whole
like,
trip.
it's like, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but speaking of which, like that reminds me of like Serizawa. It's like, oh yeah,
Oh,
I need to find him because he owes me money, but actually I owe him money. But it looks like he's forgotten about that. So shh, just don't talk
yeah.
about it.
I gotta say, Serizawa was definitely the best supporting character in this movie. Like
Oh yeah.
his stuff was probably the most like aside from the two main characters, he's probably the most memorable one. Like just all the little funny things that just happened, like how we mentioned with his car, the money he owes Sota, even how he's introduced and he's like, "You're not his cousin" or whatever, right? Like he already like figured like this is you're not who you say you
Yeah.
are. So and he's just like, "All right, whatever." And so I thought that was pretty funny to just like to see how he's able to just go with the flow, and even like how even how disastrous like how his drive was, he still like he still waited for them and it was still with them.
Yeah, who just I know he was looking for Sota too, technically, but like who just like drops technically everything and it's like, oh yeah, this place is like 7 hours away, let's go. Like,
Yeah. And then even with like with his car, like how he told the aunt like, "Yeah, this is a used car," so like he had to pretty much just drive his beat up car all the way up there, and it still didn't make it. And then at the end, they taped his door. Yeah, so I thought that was good too.
it's like where'd they get the tape, but like don't question it. This is DIY for the win. Oh my
Okay,
god.
did you think that there was something that was gonna happen between him and the aunt?
A little bit, but then like I thought it would have been like really strange. Like I think like I don't know. For me, I would not be comfortable with such an age gap. But I it kind of like they I guess they could have technically gone that way if they really wanted to, but like I just love their like fun like like more friendship dynamic that like she like eventually accepts this not so shady guy.
Yeah.
So
I I guess I guess it depends on the viewers, but for me, like when I was watching it, I'm like, man, there is a little bit of that kind of tension between them. Like, it's not like overly done, but you can kind of tell like there is. I guess maybe I'm reaching it, but maybe there is some sort of attraction between Serizawa and the aunt because like the way
yeah.
how she like talks to him and the way how he talks to her, they're like, it's like very under like it's not overly flirtatious, but like there's something there. There's like a bit of like attraction that you can kind of see between them
Yeah.
because if you look at like the aunt, she's still trying to, I guess in a way, recover or relive her youth. And there's a decent looking guy with a car. Like, you got nothing to do but talk to this guy for 7 hours and you get to know each other. So like there's a little maybe like I said, maybe I'm reaching, but maybe there is some sort of dynamic between them there. But I'm kind of like you said, had that been in the movie, I think it would have taken away from the movie. So like it's good that they left it as is, where there's just a like a respect line drawn.
Mhm.
And so like she didn't overreach or he didn't overreach. It's just more like they just respect each other as adults versus like, hey, I think you're pretty hot. Like
Yeah.
it's not like over the top.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, like how sad what would what's his name? Minori? The other guy, like the guy that helps the aunt
Oh yeah, yeah.
or something like oh my gosh.
Well,
Like
he would
how
have been heartbroken.
oh he would have been so sad.
I think that would turn into a whole like sequel drama, like
Oh my
the events after Suzume.
oh my god. But like in a way, like even if something like was a little bit more obvious, I think like age gap aside, I think it would have been like kind of nice that like her aunt's finally able to like reclaim a bit of her life as well, and not just
Yeah.
Suzume. So thinking about that, I was like, oh yeah, maybe it could have been nice if it was like tastefully done. But again, age aside, but I think it's perfectly fine to leave it out because it's not really the point is not for them to develop that kind of
Right.
relationship. So
That's more of like a fan fiction thing. But
oh
like
yeah,
yeah, like I said, had that been in the movie, I for sure it would have taken away like the main points. Like that's a story that doesn't really need to be told in a movie that's focused on the title character Suzume. Excuse me. So like, I guess had it been that, it would have been like Suzume and her aunt. Like, so, like it's. I'm glad that, like I said, I'm glad they didn't touch upon that. But oh, I guess one last thing that I liked for sure was that how they intertwined Suzume's name and like the meaning of her name together. Like
oh wait,
so like how like in at the end where she meets her younger self and the the little one, the little Suzume is like, "Who are you, Tabudio?" And she's like, "I'm Suzume," but then the subtitle reads like, "I'm your tomorrow."
I
So like
oh
she's telling her like, I'm the future, I'm your future, this is your future kind of thing, instead of saying like I'm you, but instead of there's a deeper meaning in that. I thought that was beautifully written.
oh
And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that also touches on like the theme. It's like even no matter how like heartbroken you are, like you think your world's ending, you don't have a future, but like I'm proof. Her older self is like, I'm proof you have a future. Like you'll
Yeah.
grow up, and you'll meet all like these wonderful people. It's like time goes on. Time will go on, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it. So don't like don't purposely trap yourself. Like look forward to the future. It may be uncertain, but like you have a future. Go for it.
Yeah, that ending monologue was just so well done. Like I said, it was just that the way how they ended this movie was perfect, and I like that they didn't like overreach either, where they kind of just closed the door and then they kind of say their goodbyes, and that was it. Up until like after the credits, you see Sota and Suzume meet each other again, like how they did in the beginning. I thought that was
Yeah, that was so
yeah.
nice.
There's so much good things I can say about this movie, but as we come to the end here, Sharon, thank you so much for just being on the podcast and dealing with some of the technical difficulties as well.
No worries, man. Thank you
But
so much.
overall though, I'm glad that we were able to talk about Suzume and like geek out about this movie because it's still fresh in our minds. But I guess for viewers and followers who do want to like check out your content, your future episodes or even like some of your voice acting stuff, how can they do that?
If you're interested on following me on social media, I'm KM Sharon 95 on Twitter and Instagram. You can check out my podcast on various platforms like Apple, Google, Spotify, things like that. It's called Sharon Stuff. Sharon as in the name, because my middle name is Sharon. So I kind of like just wanted to do like a play on words like Sharon, sharing kind of thing. If you're interested in checking out like my website, it has podcast and voiceover related stuff on it, like my character demo. You can go to minasharonkim.media and yeah, check it out if you want. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm so awkward with this kind
That's
of thing.
okay. No, it's I'll have all the links in the show notes and description on wherever you listen to this episode. But again, Sharon, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad that you were able to jump back on the podcast again. If you ever want to come back on the show to geek out about like a movie or just Genshin or whatever, feel free to let me know as well. And hopefully I can have you back on the show again, and hopefully I can be on your show on again as well. Just and I wish nothing but the best for you. Good luck with your voice acting and your voice acting and what was I gonna say, and just your podcast overall.
Just
like
everything.
everything. I'm losing my train of thought right now, but just I hope that that you do well with all the stuff that you do.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been so fun. Like, oh my gosh, I just needed someone else besides my best friend to geek out about this movie, so, so I don't talk her ear off because that's what I was kind of doing after we saw it. I was just like on cloud nine, like it was amazing. But yeah, thank you so much for like reaching out to me. Like, oh, like I don't get like these kind of invitations very often. So every invitation is very, very fun and precious. So like, thank you so much for thinking of me.
For sure. Yeah, I'll definitely like like I said before, if there's anything that I think of and if I think of like getting your opinion on it as well, I'll definitely like reach out for sure. But you guys make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Spoiler Force Podcast. Make sure you follow Sharon on her social media. Go check out her website. Go check out her podcast. Go check out her demo reel. Share her stuff so that she can get some gigs going on as well. But yeah, this is episode 161. After this episode airs, the following episode, I'll be having another voice actor on the show as well. So be on the lookout for that. And then, yeah, so again, thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you again, Sharon. Have a good day, you guys.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give a review and rate Spoiler Force Podcast. If you want to get all Spoiler Force updates or even peeks at behind the scenes, you can join the Spoiler Force Discord community. And if you'd like to show support, give tips, recommendations, sponsorships, or any collaborations, you can email me at rickyvang92@gmail.com.